Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back once again to The Game Room. This is going to be part 2 of our Metal Gear series, so if you've missed part 1, click here to watch that video, then come back where we will pick up where that video leaves off. Before we get started, I would like to let you know that there is going to be major spoilers for the Metal Gear series, which do include the new game, Metal Gear Solid 5: The Phantom Pain. Alright guys, so let's recap what we covered in part 1. A secret society named the Philosophers wants to control the entire world through power and money. They store all their information on a microfilm. Russia, China, and US all want the film. The CIA makes a special unit called Fox, and Fox sends their number 1 soldier, the Boss, to Russia to find the microfilm, and the number 2 soldier, Naked Snake, to Russia to rescue a scientist and destroy a nuclear weapon. The Boss has orders from the US to appear to defect to Russia to gain the Russians' trust so she can find the microfilm. She runs into Naked Snake, who does not realize she is under orders of the US and thinks that she has in fact allied with the Russians. He finally finds out that she is still working for the US, but is forced to kill her to protect the US from any connection with her actions and make it look as if she was working independently in order to stop an all-out nuclear war between Russia and US. He returns to the US and is called a hero, and now goes by the name Big Boss. Big Boss, angered by what his unit forced him to do, leaves the Fox unit along with his commander Major Zero and become mercenaries. A new man named Viper takes over Fox and turns the unit against the CIA. Snake, Zero, and a man named Roy Campbell form a new unit called Foxhound, who will seek out the remaining members of Fox and destroy them. They succeed in bringing down Fox, and so Snake, Major Zero, and a triple agent named Ocelot, who currently possesses the completed Philosopher's microfilm, rejoin Fox and use their newly acquired resources to restructure the Philosophers into a new group called the Patriots. And that concludes the events of Metal Gear Solid 3 and Metal Gear Solid Portable Ops. We now only have 9 more games to cover. Wait, what? 9 more games? Oh God. We still have 9 more games to cover, and so if you listen quick, we'll get through them quick. Now time for part 2. So we left off with Big Boss, Major Zero, and Ocelot creating the new organization, the Patriots. The goal for the newly established Patriots is to create a unified world, which was the Boss's original vision. Major Zero begins spreading stories about Big Boss, some of which are true, and some that aren't, in order to portray Big Boss as the legendary hero. Due to these mistold stories, tension between Zero and Big Boss begin to arise. Major Zero realizes that this world needs a legendary hero, and he also knew that Big Boss would need to have a legacy. However, due to radiation exposure, Big Boss was left infertile. So Major Zero creates a project without Big Boss's knowledge called Les Enfants Terribles, in English meaning the terrible children, in which Major Zero uses Big Boss's DNA to create clones of Big Boss. Through this cloning process, the twin brothers David and Eli are born, but both appear to have defects. David is given the codename Solid Snake and possesses all the dominant genes of Big Boss, and Eli is given the codename Liquid Snake and possesses all the recessive genes of Big Boss. A third clone is later created to eliminate the defects, and he is born as a perfect clone of Big Boss and is given the code name Solidus Snake. All the clones are given accelerated aging in order to control them and prevent them from becoming too powerful and revolting against the Patriots. Since the clone's lifespan would be but a fraction of the average humans, if they became too powerful, they would shortly die off and new clones would take their place. Big Boss finds out about the clones and is furious. He believes that Major Zero and the Patriots did not fully understand the original beautiful idea of the Boss, and that they are in fact just after absolute control, just like the Philosophers. So out of disgust, Big Boss leaves the Patriots and Major Zero goes into hiding and renames himself and his organization as Cypher. Big Boss, abandoning any loyalty to any particular country or organization, creates his own mercenary military group called Militares sans fronteras. Oh man, my accent's so good. In English, it means soldiers without borders. Their mission is to provide military aid to any country regardless of ideologies as long as they have the money to pay. In 1974, Big Boss and Militares Sans Fronteras are asked by Representatives Galvez and Paz to aid Costa Rican forces who are currently being oppressed by an unknown military army who may be in possession of a nuclear weapon. Big Boss accepts the mission and goes to Costa Rica under the intel of Militares Sans Fronteras Subcommander Cos Miller. Paz and Galvez give Big Boss an operative plant in the Caribbean Sea to be his base of operations, called Mother Base. Big Boss meets Amanda, who is the leader of the resistance in Costa Rica, who confirms that the opposing force is backed by the CIA. Chico, who is Amanda's brother, gets kidnapped, and Big Boss convinces Amanda to join Militares Sans Fronteras and goes on a rescue mission to find Chico and the nuclear warheads. Big Boss rescues Chico and finds out that a rogue CIA agent named Hot Coldman, yeah, you heard me right, Hot Coldman, wants to launch a nuclear warhead from the newly developed Metal Gear codenamed Peace Walker that was created by scientist Huey Emmerich in order to test the Metal Gear's effectiveness. Huey Emmerich learns of Coldman's plans to launch a live nuke, and an argument ensues.
But isn't deterrence supposed to stop nukes from being used?
Exactly. And so the one we launch will be the last one ever.
I won't let you use my creation like that.
Your creation? That thing wasn't even your idea to begin with. You stole it, didn't you?
I won't let you get away with this!
How unfortunate. Guess I'll just have to take your legs for myself.
Emmerich decides to no longer work with Coldman, and so Coldman throws wheelchair-bound Emmerich down a flight of stairs. Emmerich is able to tell Big Boss of Coldman's plans, and Big Boss learns that the Metal Gear Peace Walker is controlled by an AI unit, that's artificial intelligence, that is capable of selecting suitable targets without human input. The artificial intelligence inside of Peace Walker was created by Emmerich's colleague and romantic crush, Dr. Strangelove. Strangelove programmed the AI with the personality of the boss. So the Metal Gear would act with the same ideologies and agenda as the boss in order to make a peaceful, unified world. We find out that Galvez was not a representative for Costa Rica, but was actually a Russian spy by the name of Zadornov, who wants to use Peace Walker to attack Cuba, currently under the control of Russia, from a U.S. base in order to make it look as if U.S. had attacked Russia, with the intent once again to send Russia and the U.S. into a nuclear war. Zadornov shoots Coldman and forces Dr. Strangelove to reprogram the AI Metal Gear to attack Cuba. But instead, Strangelove reprograms the Peace Walker to fake an attack on Cuba, but making it look as if Russia was actually the one attacking. The U.S. detects the attack on Cuba, but interprets the signal as a live nuclear attack.
I've got NORAD on the line.
Sir, we're tracking unidentified targets. Current apogee 20 degrees.
Estimated time of re-entry is 2250 Zulu.
Have you contacted the president?
Coverall is not responding.
Warning system checks out. No corresponding natural signatures. Data is assessed as reliable.
Cut the data transmission. We can't say for sure Washington isn't going to retaliate.
So the U.S. prepares to respond to the supposed Russian nuclear attack when Metal Gear Peace Walker, still with the boss's ideology and agenda within its programming, drowns itself in a lake, destroying the fake signal and once again preventing nuclear war. So, once again, mission complete. Big Boss, Miller, Emmerich, and Strangelove return to Mother Base to develop their own defensive Metal Gear, codenamed Zeke. Paz, working under the orders of Major Zero, steals Zeke and claims to take it to her leader, Cypher. She accuses Big Boss of taking the wrong path by parting ways with Major Zero 2 years before and asks Big Boss to join Fox once again. Big Boss refuses. Paz, out of anger, plans on using Zeke to launch a nuclear attack at the U.S. and frame Big Boss and Militares Sans Fronteras for the attack. A fight begins and Big Boss destroys Zeke, and Paz gets hit by an explosion and is supposed dead. Big Boss, now with his newly kindled motivation to build his own military nation, tells his troops that they will never serve under anyone and would soon build a nation that they could call their own, called Outer Heaven. During these events, Skullface has had enough of Zero keeping him in the dark and goes rogue. He meets a scientist named Code Talker and ends up funding Code Talker's research on microbes. However, he forces Code Talker to not only study the microbes, but also study their nuclear capabilities. The International Atomic Energy Agency sends a letter to Militares Sans Frontieres requesting an inspection of Mother Base. Miller, Big Boss's intelligence officer, finds out that Paz has actually survived the Zeke explosion and is being held by Skullface's forces at Camp Omega, and so they decide that they need to capture Paz because she is the only one who would know where to find Cypher. Big Boss sends Chico to find his sister Amanda in order to use her help on this mission. However, Chico, having a crush on Paz, decides to go rescue Paz on his own and ends up being captured by Skullface. Chico is tortured until he tells Skullface everything about Militares Sans Frontieres, and Skullface then has captured Chico, sent a distress call to Mother Base. Big Boss and Miller assume that this distress call is a trap, but have no choice but to respond and save Chico and capture Paz. Big Boss heads to Camp Omega, where he locates the cell Chico is being held at and rescues him. Chico gives Big Boss intel on where to find Paz, and Big Boss finds Paz, but she is badly tortured by Skullface, who had also been using her to locate Cypher. Big Boss rescues Paz and extracts her on a chopper.
Snake!
Medic! She's rigged. Damn it, we were set up!
We gotta get it out. No time for anesthetic. We have to open her now. Boss.
As Big Boss approaches Mother Base, he realizes that the inspection is already taking place. However, it was not an inspection after all, but was actually an attack by Skullface, who knew that Big Boss would be too busy rescuing Chico and Paz to retaliate to his attack. While Skullface is attacking Mother Base, Paz yells once again to Big Boss that there's a second bomb inside her, and having no time, she sacrifices herself and jumps out of the chopper.
There's another in my...
However, the bomb detonates before she can clear the chopper's range, and Big Boss and his medic are hit by the explosion and rendered unconscious. Back on Mother Base, it appears there are no survivors. Cypher contacts Eva and tells her to bring Big Boss, his medic, and Miller to a hospital in Cyprus. The three of them are transported to the hospital in Cyprus, and Big Boss remains in a coma for 9 years. During this time, it is determined that Huey Emmerich was the person who allowed the inspection of Mother Base to take place and opened them up for an attack. Skullface, now knowing where to find Cypher due to his interrogation of Paz, sends Cypher a package that contains a pen belonging to Big Boss that has been infected with some of Code Talker's parasites and infects Cypher with a parasite as revenge for keeping Skullface hidden for all these years. For the next 9 years, Ocelot watches over the care of Big Boss and the medic, who are in a coma in the hospital in Cyprus. A few important things happen during Big Boss's coma. First off, the infected Major Zero goes into hiding. Next, with the destruction of Militares Sans Frontieres, Huey Emmerich and Dr. Strangelove begin working for XOF under Skullface to create new Metal Gear, and Emmerich and Strangelove get married and have a son named Hal Emmerich, who Huey uses as a guinea pig to test out his new Metal Gear, Sahelanthropus. Also, Big Boss's clones, Solid Snake and Liquid Snake, are separated. Solid Snake goes through the foster system in the United States, while Liquid Snake is dropped off and abandoned in England by Zero. And lastly, during the Rhodesian Civil War, Frank Yeager was responsible for killing a husband and wife who had a baby daughter. Feeling guilty about killing this little girl's parents, Frank Yeager adopts the little girl as his own and gives her the name Naomi. Now, it has been 9 years, and finally Big Boss wakes up. After escaping the XOF unit who had tracked him down to the hospital in Cyprus, Ocelot fills the Big Boss in on what's been going on around the world, and Ocelot gives the Big Boss the new title of Venom Snake. Ocelot sends Venom Snake to rescue Miller, who's been captured by Skullface, and Venom Snake rescues Miller, and the three of them decide to create a new independent military with the sole purpose of finding and killing Skullface and Zero. The name of this new military was called Diamond Dogs, and together they created a new mother base. Venom Snake captures Emmerich and forces him to work for the Diamond Dogs. Venom Snake realizes that Skullface is using child soldiers in Africa and decides to go on a mission to capture as many child soldiers as he can, including the leader of their group. Upon capturing the leader of the child soldiers, he realizes that it is in fact his cloned son, Eli, also known as Liquid Snake. Eli, hating that he is a clone, attempts to kill Venom Snake, but fails. Venom Snake is able to track down Skullface, and after a large battle, he destroys the Sahelanthropus Metal Gear. Venom Snake realizes that Skullface is pinned under a radio tower, and Venom Snake brutally maims Skullface by shooting him in the arms and the legs until they separate from his body, but he does not kill him, and he walks away. As he walks away, a final gunshot rings out, and he turns around to see Huey Emmerich deliver the final blow to Skullface out of anger for forcing him to work against his will on the Sahelanthropus and attempting to prove to Venom Snake that he is actually a Diamond Dog. Venom Snake orders the destroyed Sahelanthropus to be brought back to Mother Base as a token of morale for his men. However, Emmerich begins repairing the Sahelanthropus without Venom Snake's knowledge. Eli and the other child soldiers show interest in the Metal Gear, and Emmerich teaches them how the Metal Gear works. The child soldiers, led by Eli, Liquid Snake, steal the Metal Gear and escape Mother Base. Emmerich is now viewed as a traitor for the events that caused Mother Base to be destroyed, repairing Sahelanthropus without permission, and teaching the child soldiers how to use the weapon. Venom Snake, Miller, and Ocelot exile Emmerich and force him onto a survival raft and send him out to sea. Alright guys, we're in the home stretch, so hang in there with me. After these events, Venom Snake receives a cassette tape recording with a message for him. When he begins playing the recording, he realizes that the message is from himself. The message asks him if he remembers who he is yet. Venom Snake then begins to have flashbacks. He flashes back to when Mother Base was being destroyed 9 years before, and the explosion from when Paz sacrifices herself and Big Boss and the medic were knocked out. He flashes back to the hospital in Cyprus, seeing the doctors trying to resuscitate the man in the bed next to him, and then he realizes that the man next to him was Big Boss. Venom Snake then remembers who he really is. As it turns out, when Big Boss and the medic were in a coma, Ocelot was contacted by Zero. Zero explained the importance of keeping Big Boss alive and that the entire military world depended on the survival of the legendary hero. So Zero came up with a plan for Ocelot to oversee the recovery of Big Boss and the medic, and during this time, Ocelot was to do memory manipulation techniques that he had learned while walking with the Russians in order to train the medic to think he was actually the boss. After the boss and the medic wake up from the coma, Ocelot helps them both escape the hospital in Cyprus. Ocelot sees Big Boss off and gives him a fond farewell as Big Boss goes into hiding where he will secretly create his new military nation called Outer Heaven. After seeing Big Boss off, Ocelot returns to the medic and gives him the new name of Venom Snake, who will be the physical representation of the legendary hero, but without the risk of someone actually killing Big Boss. After hearing this cassette tape, Venom Snake, no longer wanting to be a phantom of the Big Boss, decides that he is in fact Big Boss. And from this point forward, there is not only one big boss, but there are two big bosses. And with that final twist, that brings us to the end of Big Boss being the protagonist in these games, but there's still a lot of story left to be told. As you can probably tell at this point in the video, there is a lot more information to be covered than what I first expected, and so we will have to turn this 2-part series into a 3-part series. So next week we will finally be able to discuss Solid Snake and how he fits in this story, as well as have the conclusion to the Metal Gear series. So tell me, how have you guys liked the series so far? Do you like the videos where I dig deep within the game's story and attempt to unravel the mysteries and the plot twists? Or do you prefer when I come up with my own theories around the different mechanics and stories within these video games? Let me know in the description below. That is how I can continue to get better and keep bringing content that you guys like to watch. Well, that does it for this episode of The Game Room, so be sure to give it a thumbs up, and as always, thanks for watching, and until next time, stay awesome. The spoilers in this game and the story itself is just simply mind-blowing. After talking to a fellow gamer who was a fan of the series as well, we tried to talk through the storyline and got so confused, I decided, what a great topic for my next video. So this video is the discussion of everything that happened in the Metal Gear series, all the way through Metal Gear Solid 5, The Phantom Pain.